Hello there, welcome to the Animation Industry Podcast. My name is Terry and I am on my fourth coffee of the day, and I will probably have a fifth because I'm jet lagged from going to Vancouver on the weekend. Today I'm chatting with the co-founders of the animation studio Chubby Beagle, Karen Drastal, who specializes in 2D and production, and Bill Drastal, who specializes in storyboarding and directing. Now, besides sharing their career journeys and ending up starting a studio together as a couple, they're also going to share in this chat how they ended up working on the first ever drag queen superhero animated film, Maxxie LaWow. And they're going to share all about that film, how it came to be, and where it's going and where to see it and all the lovely stuff about it. But first, this episode is sponsored by Snowlands, a brand new full-color graphic novel series for animal fantasy fans featuring snow leopards and Arctic wolves on a wild adventure through a snow-covered mountain range. Shifty lynxes, secret monkey tribes, singing palace cats, and a cult of sheep are just a few of what the heroes of Snowlands run into on their journey. This is the perfect read for people who love Aaron Hunter's Warriors or Tui T. Sutherland's Wings of Fire series. This premium hardcover book is only $19.99, and since it was created by Maura Mraz, the guy behind the animation training website Bloop Animation, you can now get a $25 credit to any Bloop Animation course when you buy the book. So if you're thinking about getting any of their courses, get this book first, and then you can get a $25 credit off their course. It's kind of like getting the book for free plus $5 or $5.01 back. So to get this deal, go to bloopanimations.com/Terry. That's bloopanimations.com/TERRY, which is my wonderful name. And now, without further ado, let's jump into the chat. Hi, Karen and Bill. Thanks so much for coming on the chat. How are you guys?
Thanks. Doing good.
Doing really good.
Doing really good. Oh, why is that? Why are you doing really good?
Oh my goodness. Well, we've just been it's been a great week so far, and we've just been busy. So it's like a good busy sort of thing, but just lots of good stuff going on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to dive into both of your careers, but let me just ask you this: why did you want to come on the podcast and talk with me and share your experiences? What was the motivation behind that in the first place?
Well, being in animation for so long, like for all the years, and then being just fans of animation and everything, we love reaching out to other animators and aspiring animators. We love talking to students and we love talking to other artists, and we just have lots of fun with it. So it's like another chance to connect even more is even better. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun. One of the things I like about working in animation is I get to talk with other people who are in as well, and everyone's super nice and friendly, and it's always kind of cool to ask someone like, well, how did you get here, or what's your story, or where'd you come from? And everyone's got like a different story. Like it's not like one homogenous like, oh, I did blank 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 and blank and I got here. Like no, everyone's got like a windy path that's different. Like everyone's climbed this mountain a different way.
Yeah. I've never heard somebody say my father was an animator and his father before him was an animator and his father, like that's, it's not like a family business thing or like a traditional thing at all. Yeah, you're totally right. So, okay. So maybe you can just explain what you're currently doing and, how you got into what you're currently doing from being born, I guess. Karen, why don't you start? So Karen, you're an animator right now, but you've also, you've worked on a bunch of stuff, layouts, video games, etc. So right now you're mainly 2D animation.
Yeah, well, that's where my specialty is. That's what I learned in school, and that's what I like to do the most. That's like my favorite thing is 2D animation, sometimes called digital animation. Just like anything really. I've done animation in After Effects and Adobe Animate and Toon Boom, just all that gamut of stuff. Yeah.
So where did things start for you? Back in school, you were like, I love 2D animation, and then you graduated, and then you were like, crap, now what?
Well, not quite like that. Well, I always loved animation. And so to be fully honest, when I was in elementary school, I really loved art. But then I got the whole thing I was like, I want to be an artist. And then the adults around me were like, that's great. How are you going to make money? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know. And then we had actually an animator come and talk in the classroom, one of those little like demonstrate, this is how cartoons are made. And I'm like, I can be an animator and I can do art and draw cartoons. And I'm like, there you go. That's how I'll make money.
So after this class, you went home to your parents and you were like, listen, you asked me a big question and now I've got an answer for you. And that gave you the motivation to pursue, college and get an animation degree.
Well, actually, it made them even more nervous and kept asking me, are you sure? Like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Like, how do you even do that? Like, even like, because I don't come from a family of artists or anything like that. So they're like, okay, this is weird. Like, she wants to do something really strange. How the heck are you going to do that? So it made me even more determined because that made me say, I'll show you. And made me like really be like, now I'm gonna do it. I got really determined, like I have to. I get really stubborn with that. so that's when I started like looking into schools and then I found the college down at the Art Institute down in San Diego, and that's where I met this guy. That's where we met.
Yeah. What do you say to your parents now? Do they, do they see art and animation differently now that they've seen that you've gone through this experience for quite a while and you're still sticking with it? No.
Well, they come
shaking his head. Nope.
We call them the 9-to-5ers. They come from the world where like they worked at their jobs for 30 years and got the watch and retired, and there you go. And here I am with like contracts that end after a year and having to, look for new gigs every 6 months. And they're like, I have no idea what she's doing or what's happening. Like that's kind of where they're happy with what I'm doing, but they don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah, you constantly have to be like, now I'm working for this company on this thing, and okay. But you've clearly been successful at what you've been doing, like you've raised it.
That's hard to wrap around with artists. So like, of course, you always knock yourself down.
Yeah, success is like
doubting yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Success. Yeah.
Bill, did you have a similar experience when you were in college, or was it? I got my parents were a little bit more supportive of me wanting to be an artist. Like I was always just like a quiet kid doodling in the back of class. Like that was kind of like my way of like, I kind of pay attention in class, but like, I was one of those kids that like, I did good on the tests, but I sucked at homework because I was always drawing all the time. You're showing your homework and it's just doodles.
It's just doodles. When I went to college, it was the same thing. I'd just be notebooks full of doodles. And
wait, you were in animation college though, no?
Well, yeah, no, well, but it'd be like you take like your GE classes and be like, here's my math class, and be like the 5 is dancing with the 7 or something like that. But yeah, like my parents were a little bit more supportive of me going into art, and but it took me a while before I really I didn't know as young as Karen did that I wanted to do animation. For a while. Like I went from being like, I want to be an archaeologist, I want to be a police officer, and I want to be a VFX person. Like I was getting into back when the 90s, they were showing like all those like specials, like here's how we blew up the White House for Independence Day, or here's how we did this. I was like, that looks like so much fun, I want to do that. And then that got me into computers. But it was always like, yeah, when I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do still. Like I was just kind of like, I know I want to do something art related.
Yeah.
So I went to junior college for the longest time and just kind of floundered. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. All I was doing was like, well, I know I want to draw. So I took figure drawing classes. There was an animation class at the small community college I went to. What actually got me, I think, really focused on art was there was a high school in San Diego, I think Claremont Mountain High School. They had an ROP program. It was like a regional occupational program, and they actually taught animation. It was this older animator guy who worked on Warner Brothers. He was kind of building this whole animation class system, for hey, because he wanted to sell here's materials that he could sell to other classrooms and stuff. So this was kind of his fledgling class that he was trying to build. So he brought in a bunch of us adults, I was 19, but older adults to come into this high school class. And that's where I met one of my friends there, and he was an artist at SeaWorld. And I got to working at SeaWorld doing like caricatures and portraits and stuff. And that kind of like cemented like, I want to do art. Like I want to draw something. I want to be because I always drew and doodled and stuff. But this is like, I could actually like have a job doing something I like and enjoy. And so that kind of got me into drawing. And then that excitement and passion and working with other artists was like, yeah, animation is what I want to do. And so a couple years later, I decided, I pulled the trigger and I went to Art Institute in San Diego, and that's where I met Karen.
Yeah. So you said you were kind of floundering, you were in school knowing that you had to kind of be in school, I guess, and trying to take courses that would interest you, and nothing really had a spark until you were at SeaWorld doing caricatures.
Well, it was like, I wasn't taking anything really seriously. Like I was just kind of like,
yeah. I'm just wondering, what was that spark that made you take animation seriously suddenly? Like, you tried out so many different things.
See, I can't say I tried out different things. It was just, I knew I wanted to do art and animation related stuff kind of, but I wasn't like taking it seriously because I was nervous. I think that was the biggest part that I realized. I was nervous and scared because you'd always hear like, oh, you got to show an art portfolio, or you got to go get accepted at some prestigious school. And I was like, here I am, like, I'm drawing like crappy Spider-Man drawings, or I'm drawing like stupid cartoons, or I'm drawing spaceships or something like that. Like no one's going to want to accept me. So I was terrified. I was just nervous and scared. And so I was fearing, it was a fear of failure. I didn't want to like submit anything and then get
rejection.
Yeah, fear of rejection. So that's what I was dealing with. Like I didn't want to try, but I knew I wanted to do it. So even though I was floundering in like all the rest of my classes, like I was ditching school for like my history class, and I wasn't doing my homework for English or all.
You weren't fear of failure for those things.
I was.
You were actually failing.
I was failing at those, but I was still like, I was putting in all my effort on like my life drawing classes and my animation classes, because those were stuff I knew I wanted to do, and I was excited, but I was still terrified to really like take it to another level.
Totally.
So it was a friend of mine that I worked with at SeaWorld. He went to the Art Institute. And he was telling me like, oh, it's a great school. And I think because he said like they weren't taking anyone, like you didn't really have to have like a portfolio to show. I think I was like, hey, that's for me. They don't have to reject me. They have to take me. So yeah, that was my really not great reason for going.
Hey, but it ended you up where you are now. I think it's super curious to me, and I've had this experience too, where I'm super afraid of something, but that just means that I'm super passionate about it. And the fear of failure stops you from becoming the thing you want to become and you should become in the first place. Have you, maybe Karen or Bill, have you ever experienced this kind of fear of failure that prevented you from doing something else in your career that you had to get over? I know that you've been through a lot. You've kind of changed industries within animation. You started your own studio, etc. Have you had to overcome this again, or was it more or less like that instigating, getting over the fear of failure in college, and then the rest is just blossomed?
I wish, but no, for me, it was during a time when, well, because with the way animation goes, it's like you go from gig to gig. And so in between, I found that sometimes during those breaks, I had to take freelance work, which for me was terrifying because, like every single project was like new client, and you had to price yourself, and you have to guess that right and how long it's going to take. And that was like super terrifying, and if I thought about it too much, I wouldn't do it. But the fact that it's like I had to pay rent, and I had to like keep going, and the fact that I couldn't see myself doing anything else other than art or animation and that sort of vein, I was like, it was kind of like being thrown into a pool sort of thing. Like and with the freelance stuff, that was even more different than showing your portfolio around, because your clients sometimes are just people that don't know anything. It's just like, it's just a company that needs an animated logo, or, so it's just a guy that does, HR or something. So it's
Right.
like,
And they're like, this doesn't cost $50.
right. and that's a super terrifying part. Like, the scariest part of doing that with the freelance was sending off what I'd made the first time to the person, because you didn't know what kind of reaction you were going to get back.
Yeah.
That followed by, did I charge enough? Like,
So I'm assuming, rent forced you to go through this experience.
yeah.
Have you reached a point where you feel comfortable freelancing and know your worth and how to deal with clients, or is it still this scary thing every once in a while?
There's still fear behind it, but
Yeah.
there's been a lot that I'm a lot more confident in now. Yeah, especially like how long stuff is going to take, and yeah, how to price things. Like, that's smoothed out a lot, but I can't say that fear's gone. I mean, it's gotten a lot smaller, but
Yeah.
it's still there. Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever go away. Yeah, maybe another 20 years. I don't know.
I hope not 20 years. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you both met in school, which I think is amazing and also terrifying, because like school can be very competitive. There's a lot of ego attached to your art and like reviewing and learning. And did you ever, I don't know, did you just immediately start working as a team, or like, did you have that?
Oh no.
So what was it like coming out of school together and then both looking for work? Were you like applying to the same jobs and like somebody was getting hired and the other person wasn't, and then you were fighting about it? Or
Oh yeah, we definitely did that for sure.
Oh, no.
No, like, it's been a process. Yeah, there was even a year while we were in school that we didn't like each other. So there you go.
Yeah.
Before we started dating, yeah, I was like, oh, Bill, that big jerk.
Well, there was a lot of things that I, because when I was in school, I was like the star. Like, all the stuff that I was afraid of, I didn't have to be afraid of, because I was working as a professional artist while going to school, because I was at SeaWorld drawing all the time. So I was doing everything I needed. I was doing everything I could be doing to practice and improve myself. I was drawing all the time, constantly. I was surrounded by other really talented artists that I was getting inspired by and improving by. So I would go into school and I'd kind of bring all this confidence that I gained from working, doing live caricatures, and I'd come strutting into school, and it made school easy for me. But I think that was a hindrance for me, because it inflated my ego, inflated my head, and it put me in a position where I was happy to be at school, but I know in some places I wasn't really pushing myself, because I was in this spot where I was like, hey, look at me. Everyone thinks I'm hot shit. I'm performing at levels that other people aren't performing at. And I had to unlearn a lot of those behaviors, because I was realizing that it was hurting myself. It wasn't helping me grow further as an artist, but I was also like, I was hurting people around me, because it was like, I'd be one of the, people, I'd be throwing like advice around when no one was asking for anything, but I felt like, hey, I know better. I'm just gonna, hey, no, let me tell you how to make that better. Like
they're just like, really, please, just let me work.
Yeah, just let me work. And I really had to. I realized I was hurting Karen at the time. It was like something because it was affecting the way Karen was seeing herself, and it was me coming in blustering around. I was like, I need to work on how I'm expressing myself and how I'm seeing myself too.
Yeah.
Because
it's animation, it's teamwork.
You gotta be in
a good team. And when we were doing it more like, yeah, you were setting yourself up as like teacher student, like I felt very like underneath, and he was like, let me teach you all the ways of the world, and it's like, no, how are we going to get anything done?
Yeah, it didn't get anything done. And actually,
we're not working together.
But learning that and working on that, I think that's helped us now have a good working relationship with each other, because now we kind of look at each other like, okay, this is your strength, this is your strength, let's pull on each other's strengths, and then we can catch each other for where our weaknesses are. And so it's kind of like, I don't have to be the star, she doesn't have to be the star, let's work on this together. And I mean, now we're for our studio, we're working with a team, and it's helping, I think, us manage that team as well, like giving them like, hey, let's have them take command of these parts and stuff like that.
Or identifying, yeah, the people that are on the team, identifying their strengths, like what they can bring to the table, rather more than everyone just trying to, you know, shout at the same time, sort of thing. You can be like, oh, we see your colors are amazing, do that, or you did props and that like blew our minds, so keep going with props. And you know, what do you enjoy, do that one. Because we felt that with our projects and productions, if like the artists are having fun, it comes through, like the spirit of it. Yeah, like if they're enjoying themselves, if they feel heard, if they feel like included, like we love getting people's like artists feedback. Like we don't want to be just like barking, you know, do it this way, because there's been so many times when we're like, okay, this is our vision, and they come back and they're like, okay, but I did this tweak, and we're like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that looks so great, you know, or it's something we never thought of. So it's such a collaborative process, like, and you definitely learn that you have to collaborate and work together and put your ego aside, really.
It was definitely me learning to, because I realized that it was my ego that was causing a lot of these problems. And I know for me it was hard to do, because it felt good to get that kind of like positive feedback for once in my life. It was like oh wow, like I'm getting all these accolades, I don't have to be afraid anymore. But it was like I had to more learn how to temper that, and like, okay, yeah, okay, you're good, you can do these things, but you're not the greatest star, and we can actually get better things if we work together as a team. And kind of like that's kind of like our
I'm super happy you brought this up, and I think that's an amazing skill to have. I've heard that so many times. You know, animation's a pipeline, and there's so many members of the team that make it happen. I'm wondering, did you see you know, you were in school when you sorry Bill, when you experienced this change in mindset where you know, you mentioned having like this ego versus going towards a team mindset. Did you experience a clear, like, you know, I don't know how to say this, but like success metric change? Like, were you more successful when you were working as a team versus, you know, because you can also just let your ego go and become like an independent, amazing animator person on your own type of thing, you know? Like, I'm just wondering the difference that you experience when you change this mindset.
It took it took me a while to learn it. Like I was starting to kind of get inklings of it in school, and it took me a while to kind of figure this out. And it was definitely when I entered in the workforce and started working on crews, like when we moved up to San Francisco, we started working in games. It was learning through just kind of like working with a big team like that. And there's a part where you're realizing like, I'm a cog in this machine, and I'm a part in this, and I need to be working so that the whole thing can work. And we had a really good team that we worked on when we were up in San Francisco. Like, they were a wonderful group of people. And I think that's where that animation really shines, is because animation is really hard. It's really hard to do, whether it's games, whether it's television, whether you're making movies. It's always hard. It's lots of work, it's lots of thought, it's lots of process. It's always hard. So I think that's why a lot of people in animation are just friendly, because it helps smooth a lot of those bumps out. Because if you're not gelling well as a team, or you're not working well, it can send the whole thing just flying apart.
Totally. Do you think that, you know, what you just said, you know, being a better oiled cog in the machine makes the product better overall, I guess? Would you say that you've gotten, you know, specific opportunities, or ended up in, both of you, where you are now because of this kind of mindset that you've had? I know we're just going down the rabbit hole of this mindset, because I think it's interesting. Because, you know, there's, at least for me, and I know for other people, there's a lot of ego attached to art and animation. You know, like for me, like I have this whole other career that I quit. So like, what am I doing now? I got to make sure, you know, my name is attached to this thing that I want to make perfect, and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, perfectionism is also bad in this industry, because you never get anything done.
Right.
So, you know, I'm just wondering, would you say that part of going through your careers in different industries, in video games and TV, and now starting your studio, this is like a big asset to have for, you know, this collaboration asset to make things better overall? Or would you look for people who, because Karen, you also mentioned, you're really good at coloring, this one person who can like do an amazing job and just silo themselves and just let them go off and do their thing. I don't even know what I'm asking anymore. I'm just wondering, like, can you just talk about this whole team mindset and where it's led you in your careers?
Well, I know I had a big shift in my mindset because going back to like, there is a lot of ego in animation because everyone loves it so much. Like it's so, we had a big thing, like when we were starting out in our careers, we learned a lot because we still say it today, like there will always be notes. Like there will always be revisions and there will always be notes, and you kind of got to put your ego aside. And when I was first starting out in my first like studio job in game, doing animation for games, when I got notes, I would start to panic because I'm like, they hate me, they hate my stuff, they hate everything I do. It's like, oh my God, I'm on like the brink of being fired, and I'd get like stress myself like sick. I'd be so worried. But then it wouldn't. It's just notes. It's like we had to, I know personally for me, I had to have a mantra of like, it's just notes, just get it done, just keep going, it's just notes, it's not personal, so it's like I definitely had to compartmentalize in my brain that there's personal projects, there's personal art where they're like, that's your self-expression, that's you can do whatever you want, that's your baby, you can change whatever you want or not. But then there's work, and while we love doing our work and it's what we love to do, you have to mentally be like, this is work, this is someone else's project, like I'm helping someone else get their vision realized, like I'm helping solve their problem, sort of thing. And so like if they have notes for me, that doesn't mean they hate me, it's just that they want to make their project their own thing. And it's kind of helped to have some personal projects, some personal development, like comics, anything, like just drawing, like maybe doing some like life drawing on the side to help to be like, okay, that's my way of getting out like just the way I want it to be, and so then I can put it aside and have it like, now we're getting to work on this thing. So that's been a big ego shift, and that really helped make work be a lot easier, a lot less conflict, because it's so easy if you get notes on work stuff to just fight back, be like, you don't know what you're talking about, you want this to be good, and all that, like to just like get so angry at them. But in reality, you're working together with them for their project.
Can we get a printout poster that just says it's just notes? It's just notes. Put it up in my.
I think we have a sticky note. Yeah, like there will always be notes.
So do you still deal with these feelings when you get feedback from a director or whatnot? When
oh my gosh.
Finish a shot. So even after all this time, you still feel that sense of it's just notes. No.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot easier. Like sometimes, I do have to put my own anxieties aside to be like, they don't hate you. They don't hate everything, you do just because they have changes, it's like, it's grounding yourself. And I've definitely and still coming to terms with, you were saying like with people who are specialized in one thing and let them do their thing. It's not so much like an animator needs to be super specialized or not. They just need to be genuine. Like they need to be themselves. Like find your own thing and just be confident in that. Be confident in what you want to do, because it's so easy. I know I did myself to get lost in like doing everything. Like I got to do all the things and I got to do that perfectly, and that's the only way I'm going to get ahead in this industry. And so it was so hard to be like, no, I should just be doing my thing. I should just be doing stuff, like it's there's been all the talk of like, oh, 2D's dead, 3D is coming. They constantly say that like every few years, and something 2D comes out and it's back to square one again. So I'm always like, should I do 3D, should I do that stuff? And so for a while I was kind of dabbling, but I think that just hurt myself because I knew I wanted to do 2D, and so it's like I should have just focused on just being myself, just being an individual. Like we say sometimes like, bring your own magic, bring your own viewpoint to it, because if you don't, if you're just doing what you think is supposed to be done, you're just hurting yourself,
Right, you're not having fun, you're just following trends. But you're in animation for a reason. If you wanted to just work, you could do something easier, probably.
Right.
So I
Right.
want to talk about, how you guys started the studio together. But first, can we just backtrack a little bit? Because I know that you both started in the video game industry when it was booming with social media games. So can you just tell me how you got into that and what that was like? And you told me before our chat where you were working on it, and I was surprised. I didn't even know it was a thing. I don't remember any games on. Well,
Oh my gosh, they
I'll let
were
you share.
everywhere for a hot minute. Now you can't barely find them.
Well, yeah, we were. I think it was shortly after we graduated college.
It's like
I
a couple
think.
years.
Yeah, and then so we did what we thought we were supposed to do. We moved up to LA to like apply to all the big studios, the standard
Yeah.
studios, like the Nickelodeons, the Disneys, did all that and got a bunch of rejection letters and kept going. And I worked as a production assistant for a while, and then an old school friend of ours, like he moved up to San Francisco, and he called me up and he's like, hey, I'm at the studio and we're starting up a thing for it's a MySpace game, to show you how old it is. And he said, and he's like, and I really need and we really need extra artists. I need extra artists to help out because the workload is getting too much. And I was like, okay, sure, and they were just they were super pokes. They were just like, you poke your friend, that was a thing. And so these ones were little animated characters that would do little things like, God, we had so many of them.
What was like, "Here, I'm gonna help you move." And so like a panda helps like chicken carry a couch up a stairs and then it falls down. And it's hilarious.
Or celebrate
Oh my
St.
goodness.
Patrick's Day, or every holiday. God, there was like hundreds of these little things.
So you're like one of the dynamic duo coming out with like the OG emojis, basically.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, they were a little more involved than emojis. Like they
Yeah.
were just like they were like a mix between an emoji and an animated GIF. Like
Gotcha.
like they were little things, these tiny little things that you just send and throw on your friend's MySpace wall because that was a thing. and then that moved over to Facebook, and then that moved over to
Wait, so you're also doing this for Facebook on when?
it like we were doing it for both for a while, and then
my
of course
goodness.
MySpace kind of died, and then
Yeah.
and then Facebook got big, but then it got moved over to an app and like a social game. Like it just kept growing, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it like exploded really fast.
Yeah, it got huge.
Yeah, and then like we were surprised. Like, yeah, it just started out with just a couple of artists, and then suddenly they're like, okay, now we need like 3 times as many artists, and we're like, oh crap. So he said, yeah, we'd love to have you come up to San Francisco, and we were like, oh my gosh.
Wait,
Like,
you were working remotely all this time back then?
yeah.
How?
Yeah. Well, they were so tiny. They were just these tiny little.
Yeah, it was like on Flash, I guess, or something.
Mhm,
Yeah.
It was.
You just email it. It was like a 1 megabyte.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, that was part of it, was that we'd have to do like tricks and stuff to make it as small as possible, like file size wise, because it would have to play on everyone's computer.
Yeah.
Like we were even trying to like think about people with really slow computers. Like,
Oh yeah, I had dial-up back then. I think I know exactly the animations you're talking about now that I've
This
pulled
was
that
like-
box out of my memory.
they're probably still out there.
This was
somewhere,
like
yeah.
2009 internet speeds. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And so I was on the fence. I didn't know if like we wanted to go all the way up to San Francisco, move all the way up there for this thing I knew nothing about really. I never thought about working in games. That was completely not on my radar whatsoever. And then I was like, well, do you have an opening for Bill? And then like immediately he was like, yes, we have so many openings. Get up to San Francisco. And I was like, I guess you're moving to San Francisco.
So Bill, you just quit your job and you were like, now we're going to San Francisco.
We did. It actually worked at the time because I was working. I was working the night shift at a digital film restoration studio.
Oh whoa.
This was a cool job. They would take old films and they would scan them, and then they would digitally render them, and then they for making Blu-ray productions. So we worked on like the Blu-ray.
Didn't you do Snow White?
We did we did all the Disney, like we were working on all the Disney films. We were doing we did Star Wars. We did some old really cool like old Kurosawa Japanese films. And they were really good at it because they would scan the original films and then they put it through like an algorithm, And then what they'd have is they'd have a big room of the algorithm would kind of go through and kind of take away noise, dust scratches, paint chips, stuff like that. But then there'd always be stuff that the computer just couldn't get, or it'd create artifacts or something from the process. So there'd be a bank of artists in the back using this proprietary software, and we would just kind of go through frame by frame and just like, okay, there's a dust scratch, there's a dust scratch, and we'd have
frame by frame,
and we would go through and just remove all these things. And
no wonder you're on the night shift.
It was crazy. It was like I was working. It worked out great for us because we just had our son, and so like he didn't want to sleep through the night, so I would come home at like, because I would work from 4 to midnight. And I would come home, I would let Karen go to bed, and then I would just stay up the rest of the night because I was already like jazzed and full of like caffeine from working. So I just stayed up the rest of the night, take care of the son, because he'd wake up every 2 hours, need to be fed. And then around like 6 a.m. I would go to bed, then Karen would get up, and then I would sleep until like noon, and then I'd go to work at like 4, and then. But yeah, I was working that job, so I was happy to leave that job for some animation work. I was like,
oh my goodness,
I'm happy. Let's do this. Let's move.
That sounds that I never even considered that as a job, that somebody has to go through frame by frame of old footage and like clean things up. So like literally you're going through like Snow White frame by frame, and you're like, oh, there's a hair, or oh, there's something like a little something there, and just like using a Photoshop like proprietary tool to like just smudge that out.
Yeah, just pretty much. They had like special like I
okay, question. Did you ever put anything extra in? That's
all right.
That's
all
the
right,
real
all right,
question.
All right.
If you stop Snow White on frame 3020,
there's a little bead.
I don't remember what scene it's from. But it's in Dumbo, we were working on the Blu-ray of Dumbo, and the machine had done its thing. Had done its thing, and what had happened was there was like a paint smudge on a still.
Is Disney gonna come after you if you reveal this?
I don't know, because this was like more than 10 years ago, so I don't know. So there was a frame of Dumbo that was like splotched with like either an artifact or paint or something from the original scan, and they're like, okay, we need to recreate Dumbo. So a lot of times what they do if they have an instance is they would take a frame either before or frame after, because animation a lot of times is on 2. So hey, if this frame is really bad, but we've got this other frame, it's the exact same drawing, the exact same everything, so let's just copy that and put it on there.
Yeah.
But in this case, what happened was it was like part of Dumbo's ear, and I think it was like on like 1. It was like an animation frame on 1, so they didn't have a before and after frame. They could like just copy it, but we had enough of Dumbo in frames before and after, so they're like, okay, Bill, we know you're in animation.
You're like, it's my time.
Can you paint Dumbo's ear to match where it's supposed to go? Because it was like this total like splotch on it. So I got to rebuild Dumbo's ear using frames before and after, and I did a good job, because I don't even know where it is. I don't remember, and it's there.
So you're telling me that you actually were an animator on the original Dumbo film?
No, not the original.
So if I check out the credits,
I'm nowhere in the credits, but there's a frame that I got to digitally mess with the frame of Dumbo.
I think that's amazing. You should tell that at every party you ever go to. Like, hey guys, have you seen that film called Dumbo? There's an ear.
Yeah, it's not even the entire frame, it's just the ear.
I don't know if you could see it. If someone finds it,
well, not you can go. At least you can go to Karen's parents, who don't really know what she does, and be like, "Hey, I'm a Disney animator. They should know what that means."
That was kind of cool. That was a fun thing.
Yeah, I love this story. That's amazing. And so you've seen tons of films, I guess, without sound. I guess.
Oh yeah, because I would listen because a lot of times you just be sitting there at your monitor, and we had like these giant monitors, like they were huge, because you wanted to have the image like blown up as fast as you can, because you wanted to be able to see all the digital artifacts that might be there. And a lot of times we just listen to like podcasts or have like some people brought in books on tape. So I listen to like all the Harry Potter on like audio tape.
Oh, nice.
I listen to like like Neuromancer, like there's like a
Yeah.
big collection of books. I got to listen to them all on audiobook because they were just sharing like libraries and stuff. But we just sit there for like 8 hours, and I think at the end of the day, my eyes were just like sunken into my head because I just be staring at this giant screen, just click.
Oh yeah. Oh my
click,
goodness.
click. Okay, go to the next one. Click, click, click. And I mean, it worked. It was a fun job. I met a lot of cool people there, and it was a fun job. But yeah, I was happy to move to get something that was animation related.
Totally. Sorry, you refreshed my brain about Neuromancer, and they were making a film, or they're proposing to make a film for that, but then it got canceled. But anyways, sidetrack that. One last question on this job. Did this enhance your, shot composition, cinematography brain at all, looking at all of these shots for so long?
It did a lot of things for me. I mean, it was a great kind of just like, it was a great introduction to kind of like film, because I got to work on like a large sort of movies. I worked on, I mean, we did stuff for, like I said, Star Wars, Disney movies, and then we did, we even got to work on Avatar, because a lot of times one of the services that the studio did too was a lot of films being done were there'd be digital artifacting in the film themselves, and digital filmography was like kind of brand new at the time, like it was still a newer thing, so they didn't know how to correct it, so they sent it to this studio. And so there we get like a shot of like some scene from Avatar, and there'd be all these like blue dots and digital artifacting because something got messed up in the receiver. So hey, we can't throw out this footage, can you guys fix it? So we work on that. So I got a really great like kind of introduction, like shots and like here's how this one works, and just kind of like just from absorbing all this information. But one of the things I noticed, especially working on the Disney films, because you're going through all these films like giant frame by frame, and I had a moment where some of the like I got disillusioned with stuff I'd grown up with learning, especially from school, because in school they made it seem like animators, especially like the 9 Old Men animators or something like that, were like these legendary, monstrous godlike figures that every drawing they made was perfect.
Yeah.
And it gave you. I remember coming away from this with this sense of like, oh my God, every drawing I have to do animating has to be pristine perfection. And here I am scrolling through like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it's like half of Grumpy's arm just isn't drawn, or there's this horrible drawing. We did like stuff for like Fantasia, and there's this terrible drawing of a centaur, but it's only one frame, and when you play it, you don't even see it. Your eye, but it's like the 9 Old Men were amazing. They don't get me wrong, like for what they did, it's amazing, but they weren't they weren't gods. They were just people, and so
they were making it work.
And that kind of left me with this sense of like, well, if they're just people doing this, it took this whole like animation is like this thing that you have to like rise to like. No, you don't. You just have to. It's hard. Like I said, animation's hard, but you just got to keep working at it, and you can figure it out. And so it kind of gave me like this renewed like, I don't know, like confidence and like, hey, if these people, because they figured out how to do it from nowhere, and they still made mistakes or they still had issues, and it's like, that's cool, that's fine, because there's still these wonderful films that are amazing pieces of work, but you don't have to be perfect. You can just be yourself, and you'll still find a way to make it work in the industry. And I think that was it was like this whole like, I was like, because I would come home like, I'm working on this thing, and like, what the heck's up with this drawing? I'm dopey. Like, it's off model. It's terrible. But I think it's like that's technology's kind of led some of that, because we can now we can zoom in on like the tiniest pixel and be like, oh, that needs to be that's the wrong color. But it doesn't need to be. You can kind of work with it and be confident in yourself and kind of get through it.
It kind of gave us a renewed thing of like, just make it work. Like, stop futzing over every little bitty detail. Just, you got to sit back sometimes and see if it works. When I first started out, I did a lot of graphic design jobs, and I got taught that a lot too. Like, it was just graphic design, like little things for like ads and stuff like that. And a lot of times, like, my director would be like, okay, now go to the other side of the room and look at the screen and then see like what works and what doesn't. And it's like that taught me the same thing of like, stop focusing on every pixel, because nothing will get done. Nothing will get finished.
Totally,
nothing will be perfect enough. You know, you look back and you're like, this works. And then you just be confident in that. Like,
I think it's hilarious that I learned that by staring and going over literally every little pixel.
I love that story. That's hilarious. And what I got from it is, God, there's not an animation god yet, so there's still room for some. No, but you know, I kind of consider the industry is like there's this bar of kind of skill and talent that you have to kind of pass, and then once you're over that, you know, you're good to go, basically. No,
no, it's
kind of true, but it's more complicated.
It's more complicated than that. There is definitely like there's skills you want to have.
Yeah.
And there's skills you want to be good at, but you don't have. There's not like a ceiling. There's not like a bar. There's not like a definite like wall that everyone has to get through to get in. I've worked with so many wonderful, talented people, and everyone has different styles, different sensibilities, different skill levels. They're good at some things, they're not good at other things. Everyone, because everyone's human. We've all got different things that we're good at, we're not so good at, and it's like that's where, again, going back to the collaboration thing, that's where animation is so collaborative, because you're trying to take people producing work at different skill levels, and then you're trying to bring them all together into a cohesive thing. And it's a challenge, but there's no like definite like oh, it's I think sometimes it gets equated too much like everyone thinks like video game logic with it, like, oh, if I just get 2,000 animation experience points, then I've reached level Super Saiyan and I am now an animator and I'm ready to join the industry. And it's not that simple, but it's more complicated than that. But it's also, that's what's kind of cool about it, is because it's not just do this or just do it this way. Anyone can make it. It's just, like I keep saying, it's just hard, but it's not impossible. But sometimes it can seem impossible when you think like, well, there's that ceiling. That's why I think it was realizing that the 9 men are just men. They're just people, and they weren't gods. They weren't this supernatural like barrier to entry. They're just people figuring things out. And if they can figure it out, anyone can figure it out. It just takes time and effort, and it's just going to be hard to do.
Yeah, and it's so hard because it's so tumultuous. Yeah, it's not like where you just like, well, not anymore. It's not where you can like go into a studio, sit down, and then 50 years later retire. Yeah. You know, it's not that anymore. So that's why like we kind of like shrug at the, you know, you break in and you're in, because it's not that anymore. It's not that. Like,
even that's a bit of a misnomer or miss.
Well, there's a bit to it, because it's also so like it's all about the people you know and the connections you make, and you do that when you kind of like when you get your first job, but it builds. It's more of a, instead of breaking in, you build it sort of feeling to it. Yeah, because you don't feel like, okay, I'm here and here's my desk and this will be it until I'm done. No, it's like, here's my desk, here's these cool people around me I'm going to meet, and they're going to build onto a next project, which will be over here, and then that, and it's this giant web of people. And and it's also hard because there's also those downtimes, there's the lull times, and where you feel like, oh, maybe I didn't break in, maybe I'm not successful, maybe this is it, and then the next day you get that phone call that changes everything again. You never know. It's like, it's definitely a journey. It's not a destination. You just got to keep plugging through. Yeah, you can't. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you do, but you also got to be flexible.
Yeah, sure. And I guess, you know, that parodies what you were saying before, where you were thinking of getting into CG, and then that's not really your thing. So it sounds more like what you're saying is focus on the thing that you know want to do and interests you, and you know, want skills in, and then keep building off of there, instead of, you know, here's a bar that I have to jump over before the industry accepts me, and then I'm okay, I guess.
Right. Yeah, because it's also an industry full of such amazing artists, and everyone's like so cool and fun, and everyone has their own story and their own like way they got in, you know, the way they got into the industry, what they worked on. Like it's just so interconnected. Yeah.
So okay, go ahead.
I teach a class on comics for a small online design college, and it's a small little class, and I always tell my students, like, the best idea is your idea. And the best way to do this, to make your comic, is your way to make this comic. I can show you how I might approach it. I can show you how I might think about it, but the best way to do it is always your way to do it, because this is your comic. And because I'm not trying to teach them how to draw, I'm teaching them how to tell a story, or how to utilize the tools, because I can't control how they draw. I can push them in, like, hey, if you want to improve your drawing skills, here's some things you can try doing this, here's some good practices. But in the end, it's always about, hey, I want to teach you how to make a comic, and your art style is going to be your wonderful art style, and just make it the way you want to be. And that's the best way you can make it.
Oh, I love that, what you just said, you know, because it especially in art school, everybody's trying to force you to, you know, do the Disney way or the Cal Arts way or whatever. But and there's, you know, there's value in that, because there is an industry of, you know, television production that needs certain, you know, style to be created, and then you need training in that. But I also think, you know, if you want to have a really unique voice and create something yourself and put your own self out there, you got to do what you got to do. So, okay, let's fast forward a little bit. You know, you were working in the MySpace and Facebook space and all these other spaces. And then, okay, so you've both had very, you know, I've gone through your resumes. You've both worked at tons of animation studios over the years. What has compelled you to start your own animation studio after all this time together? So you've both been working, you know, sometimes at the same studio like Warner Brothers, sometimes at different studios. And then at some point you looked at each other and said, hey, why don't we start our own studio? Like what was the compelling motivation to do that when you've been in this industry for so long?
There was like glint in my eye, and I looked at her and I said, okay.
And it was a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh, put on sweaters.
It was a bit of it was kind of a bit of luck, actually. I was oh, shoot, I can't remember the exact. It was a couple years ago, but I met a friend of a friend of a friend, and he said, hey, I know, that's right. Okay, let me start my story. I'm getting my all right. So at the time, I was doing Twitch streaming, because we were back in Burbank, and I had been laid off from a job in a game studio, and I was trying to push out, I was trying to transition over into television work at the time, and I was really depressed because this was like my 6th layoff, I think, in a 2-year period.
Oh my goodness.
And I had 2 kids, and things weren't looking all that great, but to kind of keep myself going, I was doing animation and doing storyboards on Twitch for like an hour a day, just to kind of keep myself from like just getting mired in gloomy, just like it just kept me going, because I like every hour a day I'm going to do something fun, drawing. And it was a friend that I'd done some work for. He said, hey, I love all the stuff you do for animation. I have friend A who needs some animation work, needs some animation work done. So I'll hook you up with you, friend B, and you guys can get together and make a project. So I was like, great. So the project ended up being for USC, for their advanced technology division. And they were working on this really cool project, and they needed animation for it, because it was supposed to be this, what was it? A digital, well, I can't remember the exact acronym anymore.
Digital resource assistant.
Digital resource assistant. So it was going to be this computer generated assistant that would be on like a tablet or a computer, and they pass it around. The idea was they're going to pass it around at Children's Hospital to families that they wanted to have do clinical research studies for. It's like, oh, your child has diabetes. We want to put you in a study, but we don't have time for a doctor to answer all your questions. So we're going to hand you this tablet, and this cute character is going to come on and answer all your questions and run you through and kind of give you all the information you need. So what they needed was, one, they needed the character design, and then they needed 6 animated vignettes to kind of like explain things that you couldn't really explain just like with an answer, like a little more complicated.
They were like cutscenes.
Yeah, like little cutscenes for this system. So I got to work. So both Karen and I, we worked with this team to kind of build this cute little robot character, and then they were like, okay, we need to produce these 6 vignettes. They're like 2 to 3 minutes a piece. So it's like
I guess we're doing
12 to 15 or yeah, 12 minutes total of time.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, well, yeah, we could do that. Had never even done that before. And so we're kind of like thrust in this position of like, okay, now we're no longer just animators or storyboard artists or artists. We're like producers. We have to like, we're not the cog in the machine anymore. Now we're the one driving the machine. And so we kind of like, after we freaked out for a little bit,
it helped out. I was working at a tiny little studio that was doing like website stuff, like it was a kids website thing, and the lucky part was that a lot of people running it were from the animation industry. So like there were definitely a few nights like when I would go in and I'd be like, so where do you find voice talent, you know? And so I'd be taking notes, you know, I'm like, where do you guys find your voice actors for these characters? Like, oh, well, we go to A, B, C, and D. So they were super helpful to, they were great to work with, but yeah, it was great because they were kind of like my resource to be like.
So where do you go if you're looking for someone that does this? Or
Yeah.
some good voice actors.
So you started this company like out of necessity, basically, because you suddenly got this project.
We didn't start the company yet. We did the project.
No, technically we had.
Well, technically,
so technically it was the company started for me because I was working freelance.
That's right.
And when it comes to taxes, it was like we were told by our accountant that it'd be better if I was a company to do it. And so that's why when Children's Hospital was like, hey, can we bring you on as a vendor? We're like, yes, you can, because we do have a tax ID number. We do have all that set up. And so that was kind of like, it changed it from just me and my freelance money to like, now we're actually doing something with it.
We're a company now. So that was kind of what started the company officially. But then when we got done with the project, we were like,
that was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like that was great.
It was really cool to kind of be like the one, like I said, not just the cog in the machine anymore, but kind of like we're calling the shots and we're running things. And we kind of got to put together lessons from good productions and bad productions we've been on, and kind of like, okay, we know we want to do this, but we don't want to do that. And we got a lot of good feedback from the people that we worked with, and we got great feedback from USC and Children's Hospital. And we're like, maybe we could do more stuff like this. So we kind of like, and that was back in what, 2018? About 2017, 2018. That we did
2018 or 2019.
Yeah, 2018, around that time. And so, yeah, well, then we kind of like, we started figuring like, okay, what can we do as a company to kind of branch this out? And so, yeah, we did things like we put together some pitches. We had ideas like, oh, hey, maybe we'll produce our own work and kind of put on YouTube or distribute it that way. We've pitched under it. We've made short like stuff for like small YouTube channels. We've made PSAs for like businesses that like, hey, come buy our product, or hey, we've got this sort of thing. And we've done a music video. It's like the kind of just kind of grew from there as we just kind of kept finding more projects to work on.
Nice. What is there's one project I want to talk about soon, but now that you have this production company that is like an entity and you're getting work through it, what is the ultimate goal that you want to pursue with Chubby Beagle, which is the name of it?
Yeah. Well, our main business goal, like our down the line, what we're doing is we're trying to build, we're trying to build one thing on top of another, which is why we started with, well, at first we were a little unfocused. Like, we're like, what do we want to do? Do we want to make our own IP? Do we want to, sell something to somewhere else? Do we want to, what do we want to do? And then we started actually like making our own things. So we're like, okay, we'll start bringing in clients to do their projects, but our ultimate goal is to build up to make our own, our own projects, our own things, like our own. We want to be kind of like a multifaceted kind of production company where we're doing several different things all at the same time.
The idea is that we want to have like the company kind of grow and build and projects fund other projects, but also kind of help sustain itself, so that we don't, because one of the things that we're both anxious and nervous about is to kind of like look at taking on like a loan or taking money from somewhere like this. So it's kind of like we're hoping to kind of help it build to its own self-sustaining kind of like a way of thing. Like we're working on projects, but also at the same time, like I'm working full-time for Bento Box, and
Right.
you know, that's kind of that's what helps put food on our table. But then for the projects we work on, it's then like, okay, what's the budget, and then how can we work with that, and then going forward on it. And then as the projects get bigger and bigger, then we have more opportunity to kind of like help the company itself grow, and then that hopefully will then put it in a position to then, like I said, grow into a position where like, okay, that's helping fund now this new project, and that project will then help this project.
Right, like, because you know, with one thing we wanted to really do differently with our studio is that, yeah, it is self-sustaining and multifaceted, to kind of, because we were tired of working with studios, which it would just be like one project focused and then everyone would be cut. Or it'd be one project thing, or we were working on a show and that would be canceled. And then everyone's just out of luck. Like, everyone get your resume fired up again, you know, sort of thing. Like, we definitely want to build a self-sustaining studio with like a core group of people and artists where we're just like constantly like rotating, because we feel there's so many options, in especially with the digital world today, you know, it's like now there's YouTube to get stuff out there. There's like, it's all like available to us. So it's like, there's so many different options that we can do, that we'd love to have a self-sustaining studio. Not only for us, but for the artists that we work with too.
Yeah, that's one of it's one of the things, like, yeah, like especially working in animation industry, it's like, yeah, like I consider myself really lucky. Like I'm on, I think I've, as Stephen Colbert once said, I've won television. I'm on a network show that seems to have some good legs, you know, knock on wood. So it's like I'm feeling like this is an opportunity now to then, okay, I can let's try to get something going now with the studio and try and make this work while things are stable for us at the moment. And so it's kind of like, how can we build something that then can help not just us, but also help the people that are working for us, working with us on these projects. Because it's like, how can we grow something that then everyone kind of benefits from?
Totally, I love that. And you said you know, you've gotten a lot of experience through the years, and you're trying to build something based on what you've learned and the successes and failures that you've experienced along the way. I think that's great. Do you want to chat a little bit about the current projects that you're animating on, which I think is super unique?
Yeah, we love it. Well, it's Maxxie LaWow. It's the first drag super shiro.
The first drag super shiro.
Super shiro.
And just a quick rundown. Yeah, it's basically a story about Simon, a shy little barista, who comes in contact with a interdimensional wig, which turns him into Maxxie LaWow, a drag superhero.
Drag superhero, exactly.
So, and overall, it's basically like yeah, it combines. It's like a celebration of drag and animation and superheroes all together, and it's really fun. It's really a adorable, like heartwarming story about like finding yourself and being true to yourself, and really finding your own strength and loving yourself. So and all of course wrapped up in like campy and fun and like out of control stuff, like out of this world stuff.
So there was a Kickstarter for this project. How did you originally get involved in it? Because you guys aren't the creators.
No, we're not the creators, and actually we didn't run the Kickstarter, but we got involved in this project actually from our friend that got us the jobs up in San Francisco.
Sounds like you just need to be friends with this person for a while, and you'll be fine.
He's an amazing friend.
We need to send him a lot of gift baskets.
Lots of gift baskets.
Maybe a couple interdimensional wigs as well.
There you go.
But yeah, it was again just a case of like, it was almost like with the USC project, it was just a case of like the right timing, the right case, because he was working on, he helped fashion like some of the original designs for some of the main characters, and he'd been working on it, and then he's like, hey, I got this project I'm working on. I've got these old friends of mine who I know are good animators, and I've worked with them before, and they've got their own studio. You guys should, you know, he told the client to come talk to us and say, hey, maybe we can work on bringing this thing together.
Amazing. So you guys you're running the animation team basically to get this all set up and done.
Yeah, we're handling all the animation production. Yeah, so we put a team together, and basically if it has to do with animation, we're handling that.
Yeah. So where's the like, what's the goal? Are you fully producing the feature right now? Or are you producing like a trailer? Like you're in the feature production right now.
We're in production. Like we're fitting. We're kind of right now kind of working on the storyboard, kind of finishing up things in the animatic, and we've got design going. Yeah, it's like wow. You know, it's it's not a full-on like giant animation production because we are like a small budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a full feature, like it's 90 minutes. That's a huge huge undertaking.
It's a huge undertaking. But we're definitely we're pulling out a lot of stops and we're using a lot of things to kind of get it working with, because it's just funded by like one guy and some extra fund and the Kickstarter he got and some extra funding that he has.
Yeah, we're really relying on fans and friends, and so it's definitely got the indie vibe, which
it's
really
definitely an independent production.
Yeah, and talk about and it's a huge undertaking to think like, oh, it's a full-on movie, but when we first heard about the project, like, we love the story, we love the characters, we love the message, it definitely fit with the whole Chubby Beagle aesthetic, like, definitely we like being friendly, and we definitely want to celebrate like everyone's different voices and be very like celebrating diversity and everyone's stories. Like, it was everything we wanted for Chubby Beagle, for like the stories we wanted to tell. And also, like, I'm a huge fan of drag, so that was like that made me like scream when I heard about all the like we got some RuPaul's Drag Race voice actor queens on there.
Amazing.
Which I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I was like, we have to take this project, we have to make this work, because it was like, talk about like everything just perfectly fitting into place. I'm like, we can rock this, we can kill this. Like, we knew exactly the artists that we wanted to bring on board that would be perfect for it, and we contacted them, and they're like, yeah, we're on board. And we're like, this is coming together, this is working, like, we gotta make this work.
I love this. I checked out the trailer and everything. It looks amazing. The art is incredible, and it seems like it has a good story too. I was just wondering, you're storyboarding this. Is it storyboarded? I'm just, based on everything else you've done in your career, now you're drawing like super giant wigs and like drag superheroes and stuff. Is it like really unique what you're doing right now, would you say, versus everything else you've done?
Oh my gosh, it's I never would have saw myself in this position, because like I said, the first time when we found ourselves like I said, not the cog in the machine anymore, but now running the machine, and now it's like like when we first started, like I'm a storyboard artist, and my first reaction was like, well, okay, we're doing storyboard part, like I'll take like these several scenes and stuff and I'll storyboard them and I'll farm some out from other people, but it's like, it was so big, and I just didn't have the time anymore. So it's like, okay, well, I can't just be the board artist anymore. I have to run the team of board artists now. And so it's like, how do I do that? What am I supposed to do? And again, I was pulling from experiences I've had with other directors I've worked with directors I'm currently working with. And it's like, it's taking those and kind of pulling it together and like, okay, all right, here's what I need to do. Here's what I know I want to do. And then trusting the people we're working with and giving it back to them, be like, okay, here, I need these sequences done. And so all of a sudden now that helped me free up. It helped me put myself in a position of being in charge, but but I was no longer producing the work anymore. It was kind of a bit of an identity crisis, because for so long I kind of like defined myself like, I'm an artist, I draw things, that's what I do. And now I'm working on this project, and I'm not really drawing things. Like I'll do notes, or I'll tackle this if this needs some working on something like that, but I'm not boarding anymore. I'm giving it to other people to board. And it's like,
you're steering the ship.
I'm steering the ship now, and it's like, I used to be one of the people like shoveling coal in the engine, and so I'm constantly like, wait, are they well, no, they got this. I need to steer the ship. That's my job now.
Well, this goes in line with what you were saying before about the whole teamwork thing and everything. I think that's great. So Maxxie LaWow, you're full in production right now. Is there a timeline that it's going to come out? Can you share where it's going to be? Is there anything like that you know?
Right. Well, our the goal release date is spring of
2024.
2024. Oh gosh, we gotta wait.
But we're right on schedule. So
yeah, we're doing. It's surprisingly been, like, knock on wood, like it's been, things have been rolling pretty smoothly. We've had, we've put together a really great team, and we're really grateful for just all the amazing work they've been doing. I know, like, just like it couldn't be here without them.
Well, Yeah, I think this is incredible. You know, we've talked about your whole journey from both of you realizing you like to draw to working at MySpace to video games and animation studios, so starting your own company, and now you're production managing a feature film, which is like everybody's dream, which I think is incredible. You know, is there anything you wanted to share from this whole experience, or like, you know, how does it feel, or what's next, or anything like that?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been, the whole experience has been just so much fun. Like that's been the wonderful part about working with on Maxxie LaWow. Like this is just the perfect project for us and what we want to do. You know, like starting with the Children's Hospital one, we really got an idea of like animation can help. Animation can really be helpful to people and everything. And then to do this one with Maxxie LaWow, and I think there's definitely a big need or want, like people want to see like these different worlds colliding, like to celebrate you know, drag, to celebrate individuality, to celebrate people however they are, to just accept themselves, I think is really great. And that's definitely what something I had in mind when it came to starting Chubby Beagle on our own thing. Like we have the control to do like the stories that we want to do, that we want to put out there, and that these stories can really help and help people identify with it and tell their own stories. We'd love to do that someday, like in the future, if we have, you know, enough momentum going on to really have like bring in people and be like, we want to tell your story and we want to tell your story. And you know, that's been one thing that I've always loved about animation, is that, you know, it's just a medium to tell really cool stories and really great character development and really great stories behind those characters. That's been my favorite part of animation. You know, the style and the artwork, that's just gravy on top of it. You know, that's just the vessel. That's the way to tell it. So yeah, so that's been the best part for me for all this. Yeah.
For me, it's like there's so much, without getting too much into the story of Maxxie LaWow, but there's just so much about working on it. It's been great working on different scenes with some of the board artists we have, and there's so much that I find myself connecting with the characters, what they're going through, and it's like I see myself in these characters, and it's like, okay, I get to bring some elements of my life and what I'm feeling into it. And like, I mean, you get to do that at different parts of animation, but it's so crazy to be like I said, steering the ship now, and it's like, yeah, let's do this, but it's like I get to, it's fun. It's like this it's scary. There's been moments where it's like I want to like pull my hair out. I want to go hide under a table. But it's like it's so much fun, and there's so much energy, and there's so much just like, it's so much fun. I just like, I can't say anything else. It's like it's been such an amazing experience. It's like whatever happens, it's like all this has been worth it. Like no matter what happens, no matter where it goes, it's like, just because we're doing this, building this, growing this, it's like I don't care what happens after this. Like this is wonderful.
And we can't wait to see the whole, like one of the best parts about animation is when you see everything come together, because everyone is just a little piece of the whole thing. I feel that's like when you get the biggest thrill, when you get the goosebumps, is when you see it come together. And I can't wait to see like when Maxxie all comes together and we see Maxxie LaWow like really come to life, and we see this great story come to life, and we can see it, you know, it's almost like seeing a child go out into the world. Like I can't wait to see what Maxxie brings about. And you know, like there's so much potential that we see with Simon and the Maxxie story and everything it can do. Like it can, you know, it can be heartwarming, and it can make you laugh, and you can identify with it, and you know, really, you know, feel what Simon's going through. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I can't wait.
I love it. Your excitement is, you know, rubbing off on me. I feel super excited about this as well. But I love what you both just said. You know, animation opens us up to different worlds and shared experiences and telling stories that, you know, might not otherwise get told. And it's like one of the few careers where you can really do that. And even, you know, you have like Disney sharing different cultural experiences all the way to a super independent film about drag queens. Like it's just amazing. And I can't wait to see when it comes. I mean, 2024 is a long ways away, but
it's a while. It is.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah. But also, you know, when it all wraps up, it is magic to see all your hard-earned work of years and years go into this one package thing that people experience. I think that's great. As we're wrapping up, is there anything else you wanted to share?
I wanted to say, I know for me, like the moment I knew reminiscing on it, there's a moment I knew I wanted to do animation, like really wanted to do it. And I was in an animation class, and I was doing like one of these like capture systems. Like this was like an old fashioned capture system where you throw like your sheet down, you capture it, and you take it off and throw it on again. And it takes a while to do that. And you load all your drawings on, and then you capture it all. Then you go to the machine, and then you hit play. And that's always like the coolest thing, is to then watch it play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like
Yes,
like what Karen just said, it's like you watch the whole movie come together. I mean, we've put together like pitch things where we put together like a small animatic, and it's like you watch someone watch what you just put together, and then they laugh at the joke. You're like, yes, yes. You know, like oh good, that was funny. They laughed at that, you know. And every project I've been on, everything I've done, it's like, yeah, there's always those moments. And I think that's for me, that's the driving force. Like I love those moments. It's like I'll do those all the time.
Yeah, it's all about connecting with people, you know, whether you want to make them laugh or you want to make them cry, or you want to feel what you're feeling. I guess that works with like any art form.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a way to take, you know, the pictures in your head and help another person feel the same thing, and then you feel more connected. So which is awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the chat. It's been a pleasure to meet both of you, hear your experiences, and the cool stuff you're working on now with Maxxie LaWow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is fun.
This has been great. Thank you so much.
Hey. And if you're listening and you want to, you know, you can reach out to Karen and Bill by going to their website, which is chubbybeagle.com, or emailing them at info@chubbybeagle.com. or checking them out on Instagram at chubby_beagle. And I'll include all those links in the description of this chat, as well as the Kickstarter trailer for Maxxie LaWow. So you can check that out, which I think you should do. And that's all for now. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Okay, bye. The music for this podcast was composed by Will Farmer, and the graphics by Daniel Abensauer. I encourage you to look them up if you enjoyed their work.